I was a bit scared actually, because I thought perhaps they don't like it or perhaps they think it's not good enough, but the contrary was the case. Everybody was quite impressed that we could build this. So my name is Sabrina Schwiebert and I'm a supervising associate at Simmons Simmons. I joined Simmons in 2017 together with Benedict, and since then we have started to build up the private funds team at Simmons Simmons.
I'm partner in the financial services group of Simmons Simmons in Frankfurt. The financial services team obviously is represented in all major financial jurisdictions in the world and have the honor to lead this project on ESG conquest.
Well, the name is Alkan Dogan. I am the innovation manager for Simmons Simmons, and especially for the German offices. I am in charge of managing all innovation projects, all innovation initiatives, formats, but I'm also responsible for the design, development, and the delivery of new solutions for our clients, but also for our internal teams.
I'm Martin Engler, transaction lawyer in the team, and I'm mainly responsible for our due diligence business. Besides that, involved in the legal tax side of our team, and was mainly involved with Alkan together to build ESG Conquest.
How much of the ESG regulation is actually having a domain-specific content impact on sustainable financing and sustainable change in investing? Are material investment decisions impacted and changed by the directive, or is it more of an operational, structural process to be more transparent and more outspoken about specific criteria in investing?
The disclosure regulation applies to the offering of financial products. Supply and demand really meet in this instance. And it's also important to appreciate that the disclosure requirements do have an effect on the operations of the managers and providers of financial services. So it's not just ticking a box, complying with transparency requirements. It does link into the overall operation, the organization of those market players, very much so.
We're talking about European regulation, and that always means you have several layers of regulation, and there's just so much going on, and half of it is still under discussion or consultation. And clients, even if they started early to process this, it was really hard to really go through the huge amount of regulations and provisions. And this is what we really wanted to do, to make it as easy as possible to find your way kind of through the jungle of the new ESG regulations.
The process with the clients is really a huge change management process. So we are partners to the clients in this change management. They have to adopt their own internal procedures. They have to adopt their marketing documents. They have to adopt the basic messages they're sending in their marketing documents to the regulation and their internal processes, and we help them at all levels.
To follow up on this, so from the client side, what's the additional offering that you can provide now?
We started at that stage where it was all rather unclear, and we felt the need to advise the client in a way that gives them direct advice on what is to do next, not really in the nitty-gritty sense of what wording you have to put in which document, but really how do I classify my projects, my products, and how do I organize the internal organization to manage this change process. So the tool that we've developed focuses really on, from the technical details to providing preliminary advice, direction on the next steps to take.
What was the initial idea and also the strategic thinking of offering a digital product in such a let's say strategic space?
wasn't really a decision we planned to make. We just realized during one of our calls with a client that it would be in the best interest of a client to have a solution which would provide the assessment they were looking for on a mostly objective level, and the easiest way to ensure that the assessment would be objective would be running all the funds through a tool, and with as little subjective user requirements as possible. And as most fund managers have a number of funds, it was a near solution to build it through a digital solution, a technical solution.
We like to emphasize that Simmons Simmons has embarked on a voyage to become the next generation law firm, which includes embracing technology. And I think it was a very great idea that BRYTER has invited us to send associates to take courses and do smaller projects, because that really created the awareness for the potential when we came across this practical need. So it was Sabrina who said, look, why not do a BRYTER tool on this? Because people keep asking us, is it Article 8, is it Article 9, is it a different fund? And it's actually the same questions over and over again. And we said, yes, do a BRYTER tool. It'll be ready tomorrow, and we can use that. It'd be nice, impressive to the client. It turned out that was many weeks, because it was kept growing and it became more detailed as we went along. And now it is a really, really not a one-day project, but a sophisticated project with a lot of know-how having been put into this and a lot of effort.
I think this is just part of the natural legal tech journey a team must take, because we've been involved in legal tech now for 2 or 3 years with a couple of tools and projects, and really are keen to use them.
Is that something you could say like a vademecum of ESG compliance? Is that something that you use internally without immediately having to use in a project once?
We use it in projects on a regular basis, so not just in one project. Obviously, it's designed to adapt to many clients, many projects. But it's not anything where you look up knowledge. The knowledge is embedded in the tool, because it's designed to deliver advice, and the advice is based on the knowledge, and it's designed to work by operation of laymen.
It gives some part of the service offering in a commoditized form on a self-service basis 24/7, and you can just self-service what you need. You have kickstarted a project where you built and delivered a digital solution to help clients in questions and operational change management in the context of ESG regulation. Can you give us, for those of us who have not used your solution yet, a quick walkthrough? What is the user journey like?
First of all, it's probably useful to know that it's a web-based app. So you access ESG conquests through a link. And the first step is basically a preliminary assessment, we're calling it. It's targeted toward fund managers who want to categorize their funds into the specific ESG categories introduced by the SFDR. The first step is the already mentioned preliminary assessment. We ask about, depending on the category, about 3 to 5 questions, and give you an initial assessment which category of the SFDR your fund might fit into. And depending on the initial assessment, you can then choose another route, or maybe stay on the initial assessment route of the tool and get asked further questions in form of a web-based questionnaire. And at the end of that, you will receive a Word document, which is basically a gap analysis, which tells you if your product, so your fund in our case, fits this specific category, or what you have to do to upgrade to a different category, or even maybe to downgrade to the category below.
What's the situation they're in? When is the right time to use this?
So the right time has been from the beginning of the year through now, basically. So a deadline was in the middle of March, and fund managers basically found themselves in a position where they had to decide whether all their products, so all their funds, were fitting into the basic category or be categorized as a different category. So as an Article 8 or Article 9 fund of the SFDR.
One additional thing maybe, which I believe is very important for the user experience or at least for the user access. Since we've developed the product on the tool on BRYTER, it's obviously accessible through just as a web-based solution through a laptop or also on a mobile phone.
Okay, so you can do it on your way home.
Exactly.
Benedict, you mentioned change management as one of the key factors of the project. One big change management aspect is also changing the content and being in touch with the organizations. How do you plan to keep up with the regulatory changes in the next years to come? And also, how can you leverage this using technology and the ESG conquest?
ESG conquest is designed to be a long-term project. It had its first focus on assisting the client in the initial phase, which will include denial and a pretty hasty implementation phase in the very first implementation phase. And now we are about to come to the phase where we have to keep up with regulatory developments. For us, for the product and for the clients, it's a huge difficulty, but all the better that we have implemented what we can for now, and we'll keep updating it once the new regulation is released.
Nice. We are actually also thinking of adding more features to ESG Conquest and really make it a platform for clients for all their ESG needs. So the further we go, the more ideas you get, and it will be a very exciting year in terms of ESG.
It's a constant process of helping clients comply with the regulatory requirements, and the product is designed to facilitate that.
Hilden, you mentioned we do this because we can, which requires you to have not just the technology and not just to work with BRYTER, but have the knowledge in the team, to have the manpower to do it, to have prior experience in comparable projects, to have the confidence to then offer this to your clients. What are these capabilities you already have? Can you share a bit what your setup is as a firm to be able to confidently say to your client, interesting, tell me more about this, we can build this?
I would say that we have a vast spectrum of different solutions that we can offer on different capabilities that we can utilize to form new solutions. But maybe just as an addition to what you just mentioned before, because we can, and I think it's very key also to understand that that is a very important part of innovation management, is really the enablement. And the enablement of colleagues to understand what kind of capabilities we have, how they can utilize those capabilities, because without awareness, it's very difficult to come up with something which might be interesting for the client or which might be interesting for the team. And I think that it's definitely a facet of innovation management which is often overlooked. And that's the reason why we formed an innovation circle within Simmons Simmons, and we're very keen on training the innovation circle on our capabilities.
It's not just having the capabilities in terms of tasks or power, but you need to have the culture of having that rolled out within the firm, so that the people who are actually in touch with the domain questions are able to offer this, to have the bandwidth to think about this, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the best use case. I mean, this use case is showing us that it can also affect the way that the opportunity identification works, because you already know what's possible, and you're kind of thinking in those I wouldn't call them limitations, but in those frames in some way, in this framework, and I think that makes it very very special.
You have a unit in the UK, Wavelength. You have your own embedded legal engineers, just like yourself, and strategists and teams. What can you offer to clients today if you were, describing this as the technology-enabled law firm? How do you see yourself?
I can tell you that the digital legal strategy is very important for us, obviously. I mean, as you have already mentioned, our colleagues from Wavelength, the data scientists and legal engineers who have joined us at Simmons Simmons, basically proof of that. So we have a variety of different organizational units which belong to Simmons Simmons Solutions, and they're all of them are very close to technology in general. So, or at least kind of engaged in utilizing technology solutions to offer the services internally and externally. So digital legal strategy is definitely something which is very important in our agenda. We have the legal engineers, we have the people with know-how, the data scientists, legal engineers. We have the technological platforms, tools that we're using, and I think it wouldn't be wise to leave all that on the table and not utilize it.
So there was client interest and clients pushing this, or at least the legal teams having a discussion with them at least around this topic. Would you invite clients to basically pitch ideas to you? Would you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean that's what I meant when I said that ideas and products shouldn't be created in a vacuum.
Yeah.
We need to know what the end user or an interested client would think about it, how he or she is envisioning this solution to be, and what kind of value it creates for them, and how the value creating aspect should look like.